Welcome back to another edition of Strengthening Oklahoma. This edition of Strengthening Oklahoma brought to you by the Winston in Norman. The Winston's got great food, better drinks, and the best patio in Norman. Visit thewinston.com to see their menu or order online. We finally put a bow on the big win in Lincoln, Nebraska with our final guest this week, defensive tackle, Mr. Jalen Redmond. Jalen, how we doing, bro?
Doing good, man. Miss you guys. It's been a minute.
No doubt. It has been a minute. What's great to have you back. Congrats on the start to the season, 3-0. Kansas State looming here very, very soon. Before we look ahead to the Wildcats, just take us back to Lincoln, Nebraska. Highly anticipated game, a lot of buzz, a lot of fanfare. What was it like just from the atmosphere standpoint? What was it like going to Lincoln last weekend?
Oh man, it was amazing, man. Their fans showed up. We had a lot of Sooner fans show up, and just the history behind that game. I'm happy I got to play it, and not even once but twice, and then play one time in Norman and one time in Lincoln. So it was fun, man. It's something I could tell my kid about, long down the road, man.
So that's interesting to me because you're an Oklahoma guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Midwest City guy. Did you know how big of a deal OU Nebraska was like before last year's game, or were you too young?
I did not know. And outside of that, I didn't play football until I got to high school, like my junior year. So I didn't know anything, and I wasn't a Sooner fan growing up. I was on the other side.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, wait a minute. We're unveiling some things I didn't realize, Gabe.
Oh, yeah, man. Some new things. Yeah, I was on the other side. I wasn't a Sooner fan, so I did not know. I didn't know about Oklahoma and Nebraska at all until last year when we played them.
Well, now you know. Yeah, now you got a chance to be a part of that rivalry, and it really is one of the best rivalries in all of college football. We'll save your childhood fandom for Bedlam Week because I don't know if people want to hear about that here today. But just defensively, we saw a different look than we've seen quite a bit so far. First two games, UTEP, Kent State, a lot more four-man front. You guys ran some three-man front and some sub-packages, but a lot more three-man front primarily as the base defense. Just kind of thoughts on that, the new wrinkle that Sooner fans as well as opposing offenses all across the country had a chance to see on Saturday.
I mean, it was okay. It was good. It kept us DTs fresh. We was running one DT. Oh, excuse me. And it was just, it felt good. It kept us fresh. On the sideline, you kind of don't like it because you're like, man, I only got this many snaps, or but when you look at, they was looking at the bigger picture than we was. They was looking at, oh, we got K-State this week. We need y'all to be ready to go and fresh and be able to play physical and run through, not have a banged up body from that game. So they was looking at the bigger picture.
So how does the mentality change, right? Going from that four-man front to that three-man front for you and the rest of the D tackles room? Because man, I won't lie, as a former offensive lineman, it's tough duty in that three-man front at that head-up nose spot. Man, it has never seemed like a lot of fun to me, Jalen.
Yeah, man. It wasn't, man. It wasn't fun. Like I said, they was just looking at the bigger picture, but it was not fun for us. We usually take on double teams. Sometimes, one DT might get a double team, the other one might get a one-on-one or something, something like that. But this time it was that three-man, it was just all back on two. Sometimes you get triple team, both guards coming to get you with the center. It was a lot, man. You had to hold your ground in there.
No question. That's when you need that extra meal. Each night, get that extra weight on so that you can anchor down and sit. It gets thick down there in the middle. Yeah. And guys like Gabe used to try to take advantage of poor guys like us when we're out there on that island, and he's got all his buddies sitting next to him, this guard sitting here just
just set you guys up so the guards can come and punch you right in the kidneys.
Man,
it's exactly
right in the ribs, man.
That's exactly right. But it was very successful overall for the defense.
Yeah.
Right. You guys settled in. You were able to bring pressures from different places. It was tough for Nebraska to really get a beat on what y'all were doing. And I will say, you did log your first sack. I like that game that you guys ran. You had a really nice wrap when you came around to clean that sack up. Walk us through what that was. Walk the people through what helped enable you to get that first sack of the season there against Nebraska.
Well, honestly, I got to give credit to where credit's due, and it was all thanks to Reggie. He ran the stunt good and cleaned up the guard for me, and the tackle stayed connected to Reggie, so it was open for me. I'm happy I didn't, happy I made the play and didn't miss it. I wish I had 3 sacks by now. I missed 2 in the UTEP game, or one in UTEP or Kent State, one of those. But yeah, man, it was all thanks to Reggie. He did his part, and all I had to do is wrap tight and stay contained.
I want to push on that just for a second. So for people that don't know, Reggie's playing end. He comes in and he's going to pick that guard off, right?
Yeah.
And then that tackle, he's now put in conflict. Do I stay with this defensive end if he's coming inside, or do I peel off and I come with the wrapping tackle? And to your point, Reggie sold it so well, picked that guard, kept the tackle. It made it nice and easy for you to come down and make that play.
Yep, that's how it is all the way through and through.
How much do you guys rep that stuff in practice? Because one thing I've noticed, the games look a little tighter, a little cleaner. Even watching some Clemson film from the last couple of years, they do a lot of that same stuff. How big of a point of emphasis is that when you guys run those games up front?
Oh, man, it's a big point. We run it a lot, and I feel like you want to run that game, because especially being an interior guy, you want to be able to go out to the edge and try to rush the passer from there. So I think it's just set up. Everybody's on the same page with it. Everybody do their job. Somebody's gonna make the play, even if it might not be you. Somebody's gonna make it.
So, looking at the Nebraska game as a whole, the defensive performance, right, really, really solid against an offense that had put up quite a few points in the first couple games, but first drive didn't go well. So after that first drive, what were the adjustments like from Coach Bates, right? In that moment, that had been kind of one of the first times where a team had really just kind of marched down the field on you guys. So kind of a new experience for him, for you guys in this defense under this staff. What was all of that like on the sideline for y'all?
To be honest with you, it wasn't like anything. It wasn't no adjustment. We knew we had to, buckle up. We knew they came to play. It was like, oh, okay. So the whole point of emphasis was to not let them score on that first drive, because I think he said they didn't score the first drive every game they played this year or something like that. So it was a big thing for us to try to stop them from scoring the first drive, but we didn't. So it was just, all right, well, we got to fight back now. We got to come on with it. They came to play. So it really wasn't no big changes, I should say.
When you guys went back and looked at the film, whether it be as a defense as a whole, the defensive line, maybe both, what do you think you guys did best in that matchup against Nebraska?
I think we just kept playing, man, honestly, because like I said, with that first drive, that tape, gives them a lot of momentum. And sometimes that can kind of suck the air out of you. You're like, dang, you got punched in the mouth. But I feel like we just kept fighting, So that's really what it showed. I feel like obviously everybody wish, we could have did a lot of things better. But I feel like we played a good game, man.
So right now as a defense, you guys are leading the country in tackles for loss. Number one in the country.
Oh, dang.
Oh,
number one.
My question was going to be, is that something you guys talk about? But by your reaction, I'm guessing it's really not something you talk about.
No. Dang. I didn't know that. But dang, that's good. Hey.
It is good, Jalen. You're right. That's real good.
Yeah.
But
we got to keep it up.
And I find that interesting.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that it's not being discussed, Dusty, but Jalen, does that kind of speak to this coaching staff's mentality where they're constantly pushing you guys? And well, they praise you when you deserve praise. There's no doubt about it. But it seems like this coaching staff really is just pushing and pushing and pushing you guys to be the best version of the defense you can be.
Yeah, man, they are. And it's obviously it's showing. So I feel like the defense I feel like we're not even where we going to be at the end of the season, like, or even in the middle after Kansas or Texas. I feel like we're just getting better every week, and it's all thanks to them. They put together a great game plan every week, and we just we got to go in there and pick it all up quickly from Monday through Friday. So I feel like, man, it's just it's a lot. I can't even explain it, man. It's so different from where we came from what I'm used to from being here this long. So it's a good difference.
It seems like you guys are playing with a lot of confidence. Yeah. And it seems like guys have a very good understanding of what to do, how they fit in the defense. Is that fair? Like, do you sense like a ton of confidence from the group as a whole defensively?
Yeah, I do. And that's fair to say. And I feel like it is a lot of confidence in there. That's
all right. Let's look forward to Kansas State. Before we talk about their team and what that offense looks like, how excited are you and your teammates, right? Prime time, national TV, going to be under the lights. I'm sure they're going to have some more effects with those things, making them blink all kinds of crazy ways. Like, how exciting is playing on that stage as a player?
Oh, man, it's very exciting. It's unbelievable, man, with the lights and things, when they started that, the last home game, it was like, what's going on? Like, that's crazy. But it's a big part of it, man. He's like, wow, this is nice. I feel like Oklahoma just real traditional, and it is. So we didn't think, something like that would be put in the stadium. And but we're all excited, man. We know what this team is, and we know how hard they are, how hard they play, and how tough they're going to be. And we're ready, and we're getting ready for that, and just getting ready to play our best game.
No doubt. Yeah. Big 12 play cranking up, man. It's whenever you want to be peaking and be at your best.
Yeah.
As you look at Kansas State, what do you guys feel you need to do to slow them down and have a ton of success?
Oh, man, we need to, stop that run for sure. They got a great running back with Deuce Vaughn, and we really need to shut him down. And I feel like if we can stop him and clog that middle and stuff, and we'll be pretty good. We'll be okay.
Yeah, nothing kills a run game like penetration.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's, in my experience, that's what I've always felt can slow down a really effective run game the best. But as you watch their offensive line, what do you think? Because the interior, I know those are the guys you're mostly focused on, right? They look a little more athletic to me than what we've seen from Kansas State in the past. Those guys move pretty well, man.
Yeah, and they do, and they're real physical. And I think one of the guards, left guard, I think we're looking from behind there. I think the left guard, I think he played tackle last year.
Yeah, BB. Yeah, he was their left tackle last season.
Yeah,
kicked inside.
So that coming out from there and then going to that's a difference right there. So, but yeah, man. I mean, I feel like the matchup's gonna be good up front. I think it's gonna be really good.
When you're watching film and you're preparing for an opponent, what are you focusing in on? Are you focusing in on scheme, back alignment? Are you focusing in on offensive linemen? Are you looking at their stance? You're looking at their first movement. Like, walk us and the viewers through kind of what it's like to sit down and get yourself prepared and ready to take on an opposing offense and an opposing offensive line?
Well, I think everybody's different. When we watch it as a defensive, like a not staff, like a big group with everybody in there, the whole defense side with everybody in there, we look at everything. The scheme and everything. But when we watch it like with just our D line, we're usually looking at the tendencies of the quarterback. If the tackle is in a 2-point stance, 3-point stance, like it's, for example, with Nebraska, we knew if they was in 3-point, it was mostly probably going to be a run. 2-point usually pass. It's could be like if the tackles are one tackle's in a 3 and the other's in a 2, the tackle, if you're to the tackle within the 3-point stance, you probably gonna get a double team. And just look for things like that just to try to give us a heads up. And obviously looking for how light he is, the guard is, if he's pulling or far back he is, just to give us a heads up in there, But sometimes, in the game, everything's going fast, so you can't miss it. But yeah, that's what we look for when we sit down and watch, breaking it down.
Yeah, a lot of attention to detail when it comes to game preparation. I got a question about the leadership on the defense right now. You start playing games, and a lot of the time it just depends on the guys that are playing really well, right? They emerge as your leaders. But when you guys are together as a full defense, like you're saying, meeting, who are kind of the most vocal guys on the team right now that have kind of assumed that leadership role? Because I know you're a guy that you don't talk a lot, right? Your whole leadership style is, hey, I'm going to show you by doing my job on the field. So who have become a couple of those more vocal guys?
Well, just JB Justin Broyles, he's always been like a real vocal guy. Trying to think, Key Lawrence, he's not too vocal, but he talks. He does his thing. Really, it's a lot, man. It's a few. It's more than we usually didn't have, and that's a good thing, But like for myself, I don't do too much talking, and when it comes to like that leadership, it's kind of hard for me to get up there and like say something, because that's just not my style, man. That's not how I do. But those guys, they get in front, they say stuff. JB, like he the one that calls all the meetings and stuff, man. But it's just a team meeting with players only. He does that. Yeah, things like that. But it's a few guys, man.
That's good. Hey, everybody can lead in different ways, and sometimes just let your play do the talking. Nothing wrong with that at all. Last question I have on Kansas State, and we can get into some fan questions, is Adrian Martinez. What's the key to limiting a mobile quarterback, especially from a defensive line perspective on pass plays? What are you talking about? What are you thinking of? What are you cognizant of as far as rush lanes and trying to keep that quarterback bottled up?
Man, just cage him in. That's the biggest thing. Press that pocket and try not to give him a space to run out, and keep that contained on him. Just make sure we, suffocate him in there. That's the biggest thing. And trying to stop him. We played him when he was with Nebraska last year. He's a good player, man. Good mobile quarterback. So I think if we press the pocket and cage him in, we should slow that down.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to see you guys get out there on Saturday night in Norman underneath the lights. Big 12 kickoff against Kansas State in prime time. All right, some fan questions brought to you by Love's Travel Stops. Visit loves.com for more information on the nation's leading travel stop network that's headquartered right here in the great state of Oklahoma. Jim Slamaker, I think that's how I say it. Jim Slamaker.
I think you nailed it.
How much time do you spend on social media looking for stuff about OU and yourself? Interesting question by Jim.
Oh, that is an interesting question. Honestly, I don't. Not looking. I get on there. Obviously, everybody gets on social media,
Sure.
and just for scroll through. I don't go seeking anything out for me or for OU at all. But usually if you tagged in it, I look at it, and when the fans tag you in something, I try to like it. I like most of it. But yeah, I don't go on there searching.
So you're not using that search function, typing in Jalen Redmond in that thing?
Never. Never.
That's smart, bro. Because for all the positive things that would pop up when you did that, you'd see the couple negative ones and you'd be like, it just makes you mad. Don't do it, man. Don't ever start doing it.
I would not. I promise. I don't need to see it. I don't even watch my own interviews. I don't like hearing myself talking. I don't do none of that. I don't do any of that.
That's funny because Dusty and I talk for a living and we don't like hearing ourselves either. So
no.
Just weird.
I'm happy I ain't the only one.
No, you're not the only one, man.
As long as the person signing the check is good with it, then I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's no doubt. Okay, this last one comes from Joname Myrick. And this is a good one, right? Because you battled some stuff in camp. She asks, how are you feeling health-wise?
That is a good one. I'm feeling good. No problems. Crosses, I don't want to jinx myself or nothing. But I'm feeling really good. Health-wise, I'm feeling good. My body feels good. And I haven't felt better, haven't felt this good, in the season, I don't think, without something happening around this time. So knock on wood again. I feel good. I feel great.
I'm knocking on wood for you because I feel like the only thing that can stop you is health.
Yeah.
And to see you healthy in a good place here as we get ready to hit Big 12 play, that is awesome. We are fired up and excited for you. 3.5 tackles for loss in your last 2 games, coming off your first sack of the season against Nebraska. And I surely feel the best is yet to come. Best of luck this week, man. Stay healthy, stay hungry, and we'll talk to you again next month.
All right, man. Thank y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.
Absolutely. Thanks to Jalen for joining us. And now it's time for me and my man Gabe to break it down. Breakdown is brought to you by the Oklahoma Proton Center. It's one of the top cancer centers in the region using state-of-the-art proton therapy. Oklahoma Proton Center, more than a cure, quality of life. We appreciate Jalen for joining us. And really this defensive line, they've been getting after it. The entire front seven, you referenced him there with him, lead the country in tackles for loss, I think up to 32 now, TFLs through 3 games. Playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage. It's a combination. It's D linemen, it's linebackers. It's really just this aggressive approach to defense that Brent Venables demands. And it's exactly what you should expect from any defense that he's in charge of.
Yeah. And, going back to the Nebraska game, that 3-3-5 look, being one of those 3 down linemen, the most of the time, and better than I do, not a lot of fun.
Nope.
Right? I mean, you're taking on 2
sacrificial lamb.
Correct. Sacrificial lambs. And that's what I went back, watched that game again. And Reggie Grimes, Jordan Kelly, Jalen Redmond, Ethan Downs, like all these guys, they battled for the team, right? Yep. For the defense as a collective unit. And you look at a guy like Reggie Grimes or even Jalen, I know he got the sack, but the most impressive stuff those guys did in that game was just really stoning double teams and allowing other guys to run free and make plays. That's probably the least sexy part of playing defensive line, right? You want to rack up numbers, you want to get production, but sometimes you have to sacrifice so that other guys can go make plays. And you could kind of tell when Jalen was talking about that 3-man front, he was like, boy, it's something. And that's what Brent Venables and Ted Roof have asked of these guys at points in time. And I think it says a lot about them that they've played at the level they have, knowing that, it's not likely you're going to split that double, sometimes triple team and go make a tackle for loss. Like you are you're being selfless for your teammates.
No doubt. And you have to. And look, there's going to be some 4 down, there's going to be some 3 down. And what you really have to buy into is team, and that this is what's going to help the defense overall to be successful and help the team to win. I mean, period. And end of sentence. Of course, like, everybody wants to make plays. Sacks and TFLs are great. But, I do think there's something to be said, especially for a guy like Jalen, about being able to keep fresh bodies out there. And this does help in that regard too. Like, everybody wants to play a lot of snaps. Everybody wants to have a lot of opportunities, but especially in a case of guy like Jalen, that's been the one issue. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. If he can help preserve that body and play a few less snaps, mix in that 3 down with the 4 down, and maybe by years in that helps enable him to be able to be a productive player for the entire season. And that's absolutely huge. But look, if you play nose tackle, just a sad reality is you better be a selfless player. I was fortunate to play in a scheme where I was able to make a lot of negative plays, and that was great. But there was a lot of time when I was taking 2 or I was eating 3. And that's just kind of like, I'm a psycho, so I love that. Like, I embraced it. Like, I always felt like if I got a double and that guard doesn't come off, or that center doesn't come off, and Ted or Rocky or somebody's making a play in the backfield, I feel like I may help make that play. And I know that that's probably stupid and it's crazy, but I think it's just the way you got to think and you got to feel, because it is a reality. Everybody on the defense has a role. Regardless if you're the one making the tackle, you can help impact that the tackle is made, and you really need to embrace that thought process and that mindset, or else you drive yourself crazy. But I think that so far, the bulk of these guys have had the chance to have success. Like, those 32 TFLs, they're spread across this defense. I mean, everybody's getting a little bit of their own. And I think that's what's great. When everyone can eat at different points in times, it's that much easier to get that total buy-in.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And that's what we're going to have to see against Kansas State, right? You're going to have to be as disciplined as you've been all season defensively, because Deuce Vaughn is that dude. I mean, he is one of the most electric players in college football. And just from a defensive line perspective, this is by far the best offensive line that they've played this season. And this Kansas State group, we talked to Jalen about it, it's a little more athletic than we're used to seeing from them, especially in the interior. I think those guys, they move well, and they implement a lot of things where you've got to read and react, and you're going to be on the move, and you're going to have to stay in your gap, and it can be challenging. But Dusty, I think we'd both agree the goal for this defense in this football game is shut down the run and make Adrian Martinez throw the football. Because right now, maybe the best way to say it is, when you watch him on tape, he looks about as hesitant to throw the football as I've ever seen a quarterback look on tape.
He's not confident, man. He's not believing in anything. I don't know if it's system. Remember, he didn't practice in the spring. He was still coming off that shoulder. I don't know if it's it's because he was at Nebraska under the same system for his entire career. Is he having a hard time picking up, the passing game concepts? Or, and I kind of lean more towards this, he's heard everybody talk about his turnover issues. And I think that Kansas State's a really good defense, and they run the ball well. And he doesn't want to be the reason that they lose, instead of helping ensure he's the reason they win. You know what I mean? I just think he's being so cautious, and he's lost some of that confidence because of all the turnovers, because of all the chatter that's been going on. And I really think that Colin Klein, the new offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, he's got to find a way to instill some confidence and remind him, you know what? If you throw a pick, we're going to be okay. But we need you to be willing to cut it loose and take some of those chances, and especially take advantage of opportunities when they're there. Now, for Oklahoma's sake, I hope that's not necessarily this week, but that's got to be the conversations going on, because you're right. he is so hesitant to make a mistake. He is so lacking confidence back there throwing the football. It's odd because that's not something he's ever lacked. Like you go back and watch him in Nebraska, I call the game his true freshman year all the way up until last year. Confidence was never something he lacked. Accuracy consistently and taking care of the football was, but now it's like he's overcompensating to that so much. It's completely changed and affected his ability to play the quarterback position. So I'll be intrigued to see just mentally where he's at coming into this game and what Colin Klein's going to be able to do. But you mentioned Deuce Vaughn, like gap integrity is so important because this guy's ability to jump cut and, change direction, find an open spot, along the line, find somebody out of position, and the vision that he has and acceleration he can have through the hole. You've got to do a good job of being gap sound and not trying to be a hero, not trying to jump out of gaps, misplay something, because this week in particular, it'll be this way against Texas too, but a guy like Deuce Vaughn, who's got great vision and the ability to change course at any moment's notice, that is when you really, really have to be gap sound up front defensively. So no hero ball for this front seven. And the other aspect, finally for me, the negative plays, especially early downs. I think first down in this game is so important. If you get Kansas State behind the chains and everything we just talked about with Adrian Martinez, they're going to struggle. They're going to falter. So I think winning first down and putting them in 3rd and 5 to 6 plus, if Oklahoma can consistently do that defensively, they're going to have a chance to have a ton of success in this ball game.
Yeah, if they're able to do that, if Kansas State's operating in 3rd and 6 plus a lot during this game, they're going to win by 3 touchdowns because they were in those situations a lot against Tulane, and they were brutal on 3rd and 4th down in that football game. I think they turned it over on downs 4 times in that game. So I'm with you. That's the key to the game. And the last thing I'll say about the defense against Kansas State, you mentioned everyone staying in your gap, but the secondary, right? Billy Bowman, Deshaun White at that cheetah position, whoever's going to be at that other safety spot, you have to know how to leverage the football when you're tackling.
Yep.
And that's something maybe people don't know. Like there's a certain approach guys in the back end of a defense are supposed to take to force the ball. Like if they miss, it forces the ball to your help.
Yep.
They have to be on it with that detail of the game, right? If you're going to miss, because you're going to miss Deuce Vaughn a lot, right?
Yep.
I mean, the guy, he's incredible.
That's right.
But if you're going to miss, you got to miss properly. You got to miss with the proper leverage that forces him back into all your buddies. So that's just another little detail. Clearly, winning at the line of scrimmage is huge, but leveraging tackles properly is going to be really, really important in this game.
Always want to force those ball carriers to your help. And to your point, with Deuce Vaughn, Adrian Martinez, those ball carriers, it is imperative. That's exactly what they're able to do. If they do, it's going to be a nice win for Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's like a 14-point favorite, and they should be. I'll say this. Don't let last week against Tulane fool you.
No.
This is going to be a competitive Kansas State team. They seem to, more times than not, always get up for Oklahoma. I think both you and I have learned that the hard way. You and Norman back in the day, me and Kansas City in a Big 12 championship, and we've seen a lot. And coming off a loss, Chris Kleiman is a good coach. He's going to have this team ready to play. It's a solid defense at all 3 levels. They've already got 2 block kicks or 2 special teams touchdowns on the year. So special teams is always a key against Kansas State. Oklahoma, I expect, is going to win this football game. And if they play their best, they're going to win by double digits. But don't let last week's mishap by Kansas State against Tulane fool you into thinking this is some bad Kansas State football team that's just going to show up and Oklahoma is going to roll them. They may roll them, and they have the capability of doing so, but Oklahoma is going to have to step up and play their A game, because I do expect a good effort from Kansas State coming in.
Yeah, and, one other factor in this game, Brent Venables is not going to allow that team to overlook Kansas State.
Correct.
Because you're not overlooking the head coach's alma mater, man.
No.
I mean, you're just that's an interesting wrinkle to this football game. But just from, being around the team on game days, being there on the sideline, the intensity level of the coaching staff is not lacking.
No.
So they'll have this team ready to play, and it'll be decided at the line of scrimmage like all big games are. So can't wait to watch this one, man. It's going to be fun.
Same here. I cannot wait. I'm going to do my best to maybe even turn on the radio broadcast to hear you, Ted, Tiro, and Plank give us the goods. All right. Thanks to Muse Growth Strategies for continuing to help us spread the word about strengthening Oklahoma. And as always, thank you guys. Hope you're enjoying this content. You are the fuel that fuel that really helps this engine go week in and week out. Our players, they appreciate everything that you guys do. You're making an impact in their lives, and you're making an impact right here at Strengthening Oklahoma. We thank you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you again next time right here on Strengthening Oklahoma.